Have you ever felt a persistent discomfort, like something is wrong, but you can't pinpoint it? Maybe you're in a relationship that seemed perfect at first, but now, no matter how hard you try, the restlessness in your heart grows daily. This feeling might be God's way of showing you something crucial for your life. God is a God of peace and order. When He allows peace to fade from your heart, it signals something isn't aligned with His plans. Sometimes, in our eagerness to make a relationship work, we ignore signs God puts in our path. However, this lack of peace is a clear sign that He may be warning you that this person might not be the partner He has in mind for you. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our inspiring content. Your support helps us keep going and ensures you catch every message that could uplift your spiritual journey. Let's walk this path of faith together. Imagine God's peace as a spiritual compass guiding our steps. When that peace is gone, it's a warning that we are straying from the path He prepared for us. This discomfort shouldn't be ignored. It's God's way of protecting you, steering you away from a path that may seem right but doesn't lead to the happiness He desires for you. You might have tried to justify this unrest, telling yourself it's just a phase or that all relationships go through tough times. But what if it's more than that? What if it's God telling you it's time to reconsider? Sometimes, letting go of something we desire can be painful, but it's in that sacrifice that we find true peace and fulfillment that only God can provide. Trust in divine wisdom, even when it means making difficult decisions. God knows the future you cannot see and wants to guide your steps to something much bigger and more significant than you can imagine. Now, imagine that alongside this unrest, conflicts arise more frequently. They aren't just common disagreements but real storms that seem to come out of nowhere and become increasingly difficult to resolve. These conflicts can be clear signs that something is deeply wrong. When God doesn't want you to be with someone, He might allow these differences to become more intense and frequent, almost as if He's showing you that this union is not the one He blessed for your life. God wants our relationships to be sources of peace, love, and spiritual growth. When these elements are missing, and all you find are barriers and misunderstandings, it's a sign that this union may not be aligned with God's will. These ongoing conflicts might be the way God uses to open your eyes, to make you see that, no matter how hard you try, this relationship is not being sustained by Him, but by your own efforts. It can be tempting to justify these conflicts, to think that all relationships have highs and lows, that with time and patience, everything will be resolved. But what if these conflicts are a warning that you're trying to build something God hasn't approved? When we are outside of divine will, difficulties may intensify because the relationship lacks the solid foundation only God can provide. God may allow these conflicts to show you that this isn't the right person, that this union, instead of bringing you closer to Him, is pushing you away. He wants you in a relationship that reflects the love of Christ, where peace and harmony are natural fruits of His presence. If instead, all you encounter are difficulties and obstacles, perhaps it's time to reconsider if this person is the partner God chose for you. And then, in addition to the conflicts, you begin to notice something even more alarming: the differences in values and faith become increasingly evident. What initially seemed like minor differences now turn into vast chasms. Maybe at the beginning, these differences weren't so noticeable, but over time, they become barriers that you can no longer ignore. When God doesn't want you to be with someone, He allows these differences to become increasingly clear, almost as if He's showing you that you are following different paths, that this union is not blessed. The Catholic Church teaches that a healthy relationship should be founded on faith and shared values. When these foundations are weak or non-existent, the relationship becomes unstable, like a house built on sand. If the person you're with doesn't share your faith, doesn't value what you consider sacred, this can be a sign that God does not desire this union. These differences in faith and values aren't mere details. They shape who we are, how we live, and how we see the world. When there's a significant disparity in these aspects, the relationship might start to wear down. You might feel that, instead of growing together, you are drifting apart. God, in His infinite wisdom, knows that a relationship built on shared values and faith has a much better chance of thriving and being a source of blessings. If you find yourself in a situation where these differences are becoming unbearable, where the faith you hold dear is not respected or shared, this might be a sign that God is guiding you away from this union. He wants you to be with someone who strengthens your faith, who encourages you to draw even closer to Him, and who shares the same fundamental values. These differences can be painful to recognize, especially if you've invested a lot in this relationship. But it's essential to remember that God has a perfect plan for you, a plan that includes being with someone who shares the same faith, the same values, and who walks with you toward divine purpose. As these differences deepen, you might start to notice an even more significant phenomenon. The blessings that once seemed abundant and flowed freely in your life begin to fade. What once felt like a blessed and rich life now seems devoid of the same grace and happiness. This might be a clear sign that the relationship is not aligned with God's perfect plan for you. God is generous and desires that we experience fullness and abundance in our lives. When we are in a relationship that isn't according to His will, He might allow the blessings to diminish to call us back to the path He has prepared for us. This decrease in blessings isn't a punishment, but a way for God to direct us to something better. If you notice that the blessings that used to flow in your life are diminishing, this might be a sign that you are straying from the divine plan. Instead of following a path that might seem promising but isn't in line with God's will, it's crucial to reconsider your choices and seek divine guidance. Sometimes, giving up something that seems good can be painful, but it's necessary so that we can receive the blessings that God truly desires to give us. God wants us to live a full life, filled with His gifts and graces. If you are feeling less blessed, it might be an invitation to align your life and choices with God's will. Trust in His plan, which is always for your good. Furthermore, you might start to notice that the relationship is directly interfering with your mission and vocation. Each of us has a specific calling from God, a vocation that He has entrusted to us to fulfill in this world. If the relationship with this person is pulling you away from your purpose, preventing you from following the mission God has given you, this might be a clear sign that this union is not aligned with divine will. God has a unique plan for each of us, and part of that plan involves fulfilling a specific purpose. If you are feeling hindered from living fully the vocation God has entrusted to you, if the relationship is making it difficult for you to follow the divine calling, then it's time to seriously consider whether this person is the right partner for you. If you find yourself constantly struggling to balance your responsibilities and your purpose with the demands of the relationship, this might be a sign that there is a disconnect between what God wants for you and what is happening in your love life. Finally, you might start to feel that, instead of drawing closer to God, you are drifting away from Him. In a healthy relationship, the love and companionship of another person should help you grow in faith, draw you closer to God. But if you notice that your spiritual life is weakening, that your connection with God is diminishing, this might be a powerful sign that this union is not in compliance with divine will. When God doesn't want you to be with someone, one of the clearest signs is the feeling that your relationship with God is deteriorating. You might feel that your spiritual practices are being neglected, that prayer has become a difficult task, or that the desire to be in God's presence is waning. This isn't a mere coincidence but a reflection that the relationship might be creating a barrier between you and the Creator. God never wants a relationship to take us away from Him. On the contrary, He desires that our relationships bring us closer to Him, that they help us grow in love and holiness. If, by being with this person, you feel increasingly distant from God, it's a clear sign that this union might not be God's plan for you. Have you ever found yourself wondering how everything seems to be falling apart around you, as if nothing is going right, and you wonder whether it's just a tough phase or if there's something deeper going on? Sometimes, when God doesn't want you to be with someone, He might allow everything in your life to start seeming out of control. This feeling of chaos isn't a sign of punishment, but a way for God to try to grab your attention to something crucial. When you are in a relationship that isn't God's plan for you, you might start to notice that not only the relationship is in trouble, but other areas of your life also seem to be crumbling. Problems at work, financial difficulties, and even health issues might begin to arise. God might be using these difficulties to alert you that something needs to be adjusted. This turmoil might be His way of directing you to reflect and reconsider the situation. God desires that we live in peace and harmony, and when there is an imbalance in a fundamental area of our life, such as a relationship, He might allow this to affect other areas as well. The idea isn't to punish you, but to awaken you to the need for changes. If you find yourself in a time when it seems that everything is falling apart, ask God what He is trying to show you. He might be telling you it's time to review your choices and seek a path that is more aligned with His will. This sense of chaos might be God's invitation for you to adjust your course and seek His guidance once again. Trust that, even in the storm, God is guiding you to a place of safety and peace. He wants you to experience a relationship that not only brings joy but also reflects His divine plan for you. When everything around you seems to be falling apart, it's natural to question whether God is testing you or if there's a greater purpose behind all this difficulty. Sometimes, when God doesn't want you to be with someone, He might allow you to go through a period of crisis or despair to grab your attention and direct you to something better. God, in His infinite wisdom, knows that sometimes we need to face crises to recognize where we are going wrong and to seek His guidance. This despair might be a way to show you that, despite all your efforts, you can't make this relationship work alone. It's an invitation for you to place your trust in God and allow Him to guide you to a path more aligned with His will. During these difficult times, it's essential to seek God's presence even more fervently. He might be allowing these difficulties so that you turn to Him, to find comfort and wisdom in His guidance. This crisis could be God's way of calling you to a new direction, a new opportunity, or even to a relationship that better aligns with His purposes for your life. Don't dismiss despair as just a coincidence. Instead, see it as an opportunity to reassess your life and your choices. God uses these challenging experiences to teach us, to shape us, and to prepare us for something more significant. Trust that even in the worst storms, God is working to guide you to a place of peace and fulfillment. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring content. Comment below with your country and how you've been hearing God's voice in your life, and let's keep walking this journey of faith together. May God bless you and continue to light your path.